2 hours left. The words flashed across the screen in stark, almost menacing clarity. Time, that relentless river, had finally cornered me, and somewhere far away, Elon Musk himself had given the command, "Open this." My fingers hovered over the keyboard, my mind racing, heart thundering in a rhythm that threatened to shake my very focus. I had imagined 1,000 scenarios leading to this moment, but none of them captured the weight of responsibility, of possibility, of sheer human potential condensed into a single decision. There was a voice in my head, calm and insistent, reminding me that great change often emerges from moments like these, moments when fear and hope collide. I had spent years chasing excellence. Not for fame, not for fortune, but because somewhere deep inside me, I had nurtured the belief that ordinary humans could accomplish extraordinary things. I had watched innovators and dreamers before me, people who had stared into the impossible and refused to blink, and I had learned from them that every achievement begins with a single step, however small, however uncertain. Today, that step was literal and figurative, the cursor blinking at me on a screen, waiting for me to act. 2 hours left. That was all the universe had granted me to prove to myself, to prove to the world, that effort, courage, and clarity of vision could transform possibility into reality. That I thought of the countless nights I had spent learning, failing, and rising again. The times when the world had whispered that I was foolish or unprepared. The times when my own self-doubt had screamed louder than any external discouragement. And yet, here I was, on the precipice of something monumental. Fear had a way of sharpening focus, and desperation often revealed strengths we never knew we had. 2 hours wasn't just a countdown, it was a test. A test of resilience, of preparation, of daring. I could feel it in every fiber of my being. The universe wasn't asking, it was daring, and dare I would. As my fingers finally pressed the keys, a strange calm washed over me. The sensation wasn't unlike standing at the edge of a cliff, looking at the vast expanse of sky and sea, knowing that flight required faith and courage. My eyes scanned the instructions that had arrived with the command, each word seemingly imbued with gravity, each sentence a key to unlock potential. Open this. Simple in phrasing, yet the simplicity masked an infinity of challenges and opportunities. I remembered something my mentor had once told me: simplicity is the language of clarity, and clarity is the engine of progress. Today, that wisdom resonated louder than ever. The room around me faded into a blur. I was no longer in a physical space, I was in a mental arena where time stretched, compressed, and danced like flames in a windless fire. My training kicked in, methodical, precise, deliberate. One task at a time, one thought at a time, one breath at a time. Motivation, I realized, was not a feeling but a decision, a conscious commitment to act in alignment with purpose despite fear, fatigue, and doubt. Elon Musk's directive wasn't just an instruction, it was a mirror reflecting the core principle that had driven me through years of uncertainty: act boldly, even when the path is unclear, because clarity emerges from motion, not hesitation. That I could feel the pulse of potential vibrating through the moment. Every click, every input, every decision was a thread weaving a larger tapestry, one that could impact not just my life, but countless others. There was power in knowing that human effort, focused and consistent, could ripple outward to create change in ways invisible but profound. That power, I realized, was not about recognition or validation, it was about responsibility. To act now, to give my fullest, to honor the opportunity that had been placed before me, was to engage with the fundamental truth of human existence. We are defined not by circumstance, but by how we rise to meet it. Time dwindled. 1 hour, 30 minutes, 15. Each increment a reminder that procrastination was the enemy of greatness, that hesitation could turn potential into regret. I thought of the innovators who had come before, the visionaries who had refused to wait for permission, the individuals who had faced impossible odds yet carved legacies from uncertainty. Their stories weren't just inspiration, they were proof that the human spirit is boundless when it chooses to act with clarity, courage, and relentless dedication. I wanted to join them, not in mimicry, but in authenticity, by embracing the challenge with every ounce of focus I could muster. My mind raced through possibilities, strategies, and contingencies. I reminded myself that perfection wasn't the goal, progress was. Waiting for the perfect moment was a trap. The perfect moment is constructed in real time, forged in action, and refined through persistence. As I navigated the complexities before me, I realized that every difficulty was not an obstacle but a teacher. Each error, each uncertainty, each moment of doubt carried lessons that would elevate the outcome beyond what mere technical skill could achieve. This was the hidden gift of high-stakes pressure. It distilled clarity, sharpened resolve, and revealed the latent capacity within to exceed expectations. 30 minutes remained. Sweat had gathered on my brow, but it was not discomfort, it was proof of engagement, proof of commitment, proof that I was fully alive in this decisive instant. I reminded myself that courage was not the absence of fear, but the willingness to act despite it. And so, I acted. Every decision was deliberate, every movement intentional, every thought aligned with the singular aim of honoring the opportunity. The countdown, once intimidating, became a guide, a rhythm that synchronized my mind, body, and purpose. In that alignment, I found not anxiety, but empowerment. 15 minutes left. The energy in the room had shifted from tension to focus, from uncertainty to clarity, from fear to determination. I could feel the momentum building, a subtle but undeniable force that seemed to carry me forward, as though the collective effort of preparation, learning, and courage was converging into a tangible current of potential. I realized then that motivation was not external, it was cultivated internally, nurtured by discipline, reflection, and the conscious choice to embrace challenge rather than avoid it. Elon Musk's command had been a spark, but the fire was mine to stoke, mine to direct, mine to carry forward. The final 10 minutes felt simultaneously fleeting and eternal. I had crossed into a state of flow, where thought, action, and purpose merged seamlessly. In that space, doubt dissipated, fear softened, and the power of focused human effort revealed itself in ways that transcended ordinary experience. I reflected on the journey that had brought me here, the struggles, the late nights, the failures, the breakthroughs, and I understood that each moment of persistence had been a preparation for this decisive action. The universe had offered me a stage, and I was ready to perform. Fully aware that greatness is not granted, but earned through deliberate effort and unwavering focus. 2 minutes. 1 minute. 30 seconds. The screen blinked, the clock ticked, and my heart synchronized with the rhythm of possibility. With a final, steadying breath, I acted. The decision, simple yet profound, rippled through the space around me. In that instant, I realized that motivation is more than a fleeting emotion. It is the conscious alignment of intent, effort, and courage, producing results that echo far beyond the immediate moment. And as the final seconds counted down, I felt an exhilaration unlike any other, the profound awareness that I had honored opportunity, embraced challenge, and activated the boundless potential within me. The clock hit 0. And in that moment, nothing dramatic exploded, no sudden revelation shook the earth, yet everything had changed. I had acted. I had trusted myself. I had chosen courage over hesitation, clarity over confusion, and action over fear. And as I sat back, heart still racing, I realized the truth that had been waiting all along. Greatness is not about waiting for permission, for signals, or for ideal circumstances. It is about choosing to rise, to engage, and to give your fullest, even when the world seems indifferent, even when the stakes feel insurmountable, even when only 2 hours remained. That I leaned back and smiled. Elon Musk's words had been a catalyst. But the real discovery was mine. Motivation, I understood now, is not a spark that ignites and fades. It is a force cultivated through courage, honed through discipline, and expressed through deliberate action. The journey continues, but this moment would remain eternal, a testament to the power of belief, effort, and the unwavering commitment to transform possibility into reality. The aftermath of action is a curious space. It's not quiet, not empty, but charged, full of reflection, subtle vibrations of insight, and the awareness that choices ripple outward in ways unseen. I sat there, eyes fixed on the blank screen, now alive with new potential, heart still pulsing, mind racing yet somehow clear. The 2 hours had passed, the directive had been executed, yet the journey felt far from over. In fact, it had only begun. Momentum, once captured, has a way of carrying you forward. What mattered now was not rest, but harnessing that momentum, channeling it into something greater, something enduring, something that could transcend fear, limitation, and doubt. That I thought of the countless challenges I had faced in life. Each one, in hindsight, seemed like a stepping stone designed not to block me, but to teach me, to build resilience and clarity. Motivation is often misunderstood as a sudden surge of energy, a lightning bolt that propels one forward. But true motivation, I realized, is cultivated, nurtured, and refined. It grows quietly in the background, fed by consistent effort, self-awareness, and a refusal to succumb to inertia. Today, that cultivated motivation had been tested, stretched to its limits, and it had prevailed. That was not luck. That was preparation meeting opportunity, courage meeting clarity. My phone buzzed. A simple notification, yet it carried weight. Messages of support, congratulations. And curiosity flowed in. But I barely noticed them. The world outside, the applause or scrutiny of others, was secondary. What mattered was the internal validation, the knowledge that I had acted with purpose, with intention, and with courage. I had honored the opportunity, not for recognition, but because action in alignment with purpose creates a resonance far deeper than any external approval. Motivation, I reflected, is less about others cheering and more about the quiet satisfaction of knowing you are fully engaged in your own growth, your own mission, your own life. Time became fluid. Minutes passed, then hours, yet I felt simultaneously accelerated and suspended. I reviewed the steps I had taken, noting the moments when hesitation threatened to derail me and the instances where clarity had surged unexpectedly. It was in those surges that I recognized the essence of human potential, our ability to rise, even when fatigued, to focus, even when distracted, to act, even when fearful. Motivation is not linear. It is a wave, a current, an energy that ebbs and flows, yet its power is undeniable when embraced fully. 2 hours had been a crucible, and I had emerged not merely intact, but transformed. That I reflected on Elon Musk's role, not as a commander issuing orders, but as a symbol of daring, vision, and relentless pursuit of progress. Leadership, I realized, is not merely about directing others. It is about creating conditions that inspire action, that ignite courage, that cultivate possibility. True leaders do not simply tell you what to do, they challenge you to see beyond limitation, to confront fear, to trust in your own capacity. Today, his directive had done more than instruct me, it had revealed a truth I had always suspected but never fully internalized. The human spirit, when engaged with clarity and purpose, is boundless. The next step was not immediate action but reflection. Reflection is often undervalued, yet it is a crucial partner to motivation. To act without reflection is to risk repetition, to miss opportunity, to drift without direction. By pausing, by examining my choices, By assessing what had worked and what had faltered, I could ensure that the energy I had unleashed would not dissipate but compound. I realized that the lessons embedded in high-stakes action are gifts, waiting to be harvested by those willing to look inward, to acknowledge both strength and vulnerability, to translate insight into forward motion. 45 minutes of reflection passed in a blur. I jotted notes, sketched possibilities, and allowed my mind to wander yet remain anchored in purpose. Motivation, I noticed, is deeply linked to vision. Without a clear vision, energy diffuses, focus falters, and potential diminishes. Today, the vision had been clear: act decisively, embrace challenge, honor opportunity. That clarity had carried me, yet I understood that long-term achievement required extending that clarity into every dimension of life. Vision without action is fantasy, action without vision is chaos. True progress emerges where the two intersect. I thought about others, friends, colleagues, strangers, people navigating their own battles, their own deadlines, their own fears. If motivation could be distilled into a tangible, transferable force, I would bottle it and share it with the world. But I realized that motivation cannot be given, it must be cultivated. Others can inspire, guide, and challenge you, but the spark must be ignited internally. Elon Musk's words had served as a catalyst. But the fire was mine to maintain. That understanding was liberating. It meant that no circumstance, no limitation, no external condition could ever fully dictate my capacity to act, to create, to achieve. 2 hours had passed, but the effects lingered like an afterimage. I felt a profound alignment between intent, action, and consequence. The room around me felt alive, resonating with the invisible echoes of effort and purpose. Motivation, I realized, is contagious, not in the superficial sense of enthusiasm spreading, but in the deeper sense that action, courage, and clarity inspire parallel growth in others. Each step forward, each deliberate choice, each moment of commitment has the power to ripple outward, influencing people, systems, and environments in ways that cannot always be measured but can always be felt. A thought struck me: challenges are not obstacles, they are invitations. Life, with its deadlines, uncertainties, and pressures, is a series of invitations to act, to grow, to transcend limitation. The 2 hours had been a microcosm of life's broader rhythm: finite time, infinite potential, choices defining outcomes. I realized that procrastination, fear, and indecision are not merely impediments, they are missed opportunities to engage with the fullness of one's potential. Motivation, therefore, is not a luxury, it is a responsibility. To act without hesitation, to embrace challenge without reservation. To trust in one's own capacity is both a privilege and a duty. As the day progressed, I moved from reflection to planning, from insight to execution. Every action I took was deliberate, infused with the awareness that momentum is fragile yet powerful. Motivation is not sustained by bursts of energy alone, but by systems, habits, and structures that channel effort efficiently. I created a roadmap, mapped contingencies, and identified leverage points, ways to magnify impact without dissipating energy. In that process, I realized the profound truth that motivation thrives on preparation. Inspiration ignites, but discipline sustains. By evening, a sense of fulfillment settled over me. Not satisfaction in the superficial sense, but the deep contentment that comes from knowing one has engaged fully with opportunity, with challenge, and with self. Motivation, I understood now, is a living, evolving force. It is not static, not fleeting, not dependent on external validation. It emerges from courage, clarity, and consistent alignment of action with purpose. The 2-hour countdown had been a test, a challenge, a spark, and it had revealed that the human spirit, when activated with intention, is limitless. I looked ahead, imagining the next challenge, the next opportunity, the next moment where fear might meet courage and doubt might meet determination. I realized that the lessons of today were not limited to one task, one directive, or one countdown. They were universal: act decisively, embrace uncertainty, trust in preparation, harness courage, cultivate clarity, and align action with purpose. Motivation is not a state to be reached but a practice to be lived. Every moment becomes an opportunity to apply it, to extend it, to magnify it. Night fell, yet the fire within me did not dim. The 2 hours, which had seemed so pressing and finite, had opened a doorway to understanding, growth, and possibility. I had acted, yes, but more importantly, I had internalized a principle that would guide me far beyond this single event. Greatness is forged in the intersection of preparation and action, clarity and courage, vision and effort. And in that principle, I found not only motivation, but a pathway to ongoing achievement, resilience, and fulfillment. I closed my laptop, leaned back, and took a deep breath. The journey was far from over, but the lesson was clear, resonant, and unshakable. Motivation is not fleeting. It is cultivated. It is chosen. It is expressed through deliberate, courageous action. And it begins, always, with the decision to rise, to engage, and to honor opportunity, no matter how daunting the countdown, no matter how uncertain the path, no matter how limited the time. 2 hours had passed, but a lifetime of potential had been unlocked.